Very unlikely place. Scientific research developed during the 1980s to study the environmental impact of a nuclear war. The fear was that nuclear war, most likely between the United States and the Soviet Union, could plunge the globe into a civilization-ending ice age. Scientists called it nuclear winter.
Administration officials from the president on down have been using hardline rhetoric against the Soviets all year long.
The administration's message to Moscow has been that it's not going to be business as usual anymore.
Today, in virtually every measure of military power, the Soviet Union enjoys a decided advantage. The Soviet military buildup must not be ignored.
If the United States are going to continue their course, then I'm afraid that the world is doomed to be on the brink of nuclear war.
There was a real fear in the early 80s that we were in a more dangerous period than we had been perhaps since the missile crisis in 1962.
In the 1980s, tens of thousands of nuclear warheads already faced off, but Cold War calculations pushed the superpowers to build even more.
It was a balance with tremendous destructive power on both sides. So we were in this very, very tenuous situation right at the edge of a cliff.
There are 40,000 nuclear warheads in the inventories of the U.S. and the Soviet Union today. We must ensure it not be used.
It started quietly, but it is picking up steam and maybe gathering strength. The movement, if that's the right term, to somehow bring pressure on leaders of both the United States and the Soviet Union to stop, just stop, the nuclear arms race.
That movement was called Nuclear Freeze, and as its message spread across the nation, it brought together a wide swath of Americans.
In order to stop this arms race, you first got to freeze it.
One of those was the astronomer Carl Sagan.
Imagine a room awash in gasoline, and there are two implacable enemies in that room. One of them has 9,000 matches. The other has 7,000 matches. Each of them is concerned about who's ahead, who's stronger. Well, that's the kind of situation we are actually in.
Sagan was a very effective communicator. I mean, he was a voice for the scientific community in some sense.
In 1983, Sagan used that popularity to draw attention to a troubling new scientific finding about nuclear war.
Dr. Carl Sagan and more than 100 other scientists have concluded that the long-term effects of nuclear war would be much worse than anyone has predicted so far.
We studied a range of consequences of various nuclear war scenarios. If I may have the first slide, high-yield nuclear weapons explosions.
Climate scientist Alan Roebuck was in the conference audience.
It was a very new idea that smoke from fires started by nuclear weapons would go up in the atmosphere, block out the sun, and make it cold and dark and dry at the Earth's surface, having impacts on agricultural production.
As Russian counterparts weighed in via satellite link, this view of nuclear war's destructive power took hold.
For the first time, we see that the consequences of nuclear war might be absolutely devastating for nations far removed from the conflict.
The initial splash on this story was profound. It was kind of selfish or even existential destruction. Nuclear winter, even the verbiage is portentous.
To illustrate the point, Sagan helped produce a short film showing just how devastating nuclear winter might become.
Beneath the clouds, virtually all domesticated and wild sources of food would be destroyed.